This week I am in LA for the reveal of the Hyundai Ioniq 9. This is going to come out in the spring of 2025, and this is an all-new 3-row electric vehicle from Hyundai. And I have to tell you, this vehicle right here is not completely US spec. You're going to see some things on this vehicle that probably won't make it stateside, but what I want to do in this video is just do a walk around of the things that I think are going to be coming to the United States. We will look at the features and do a walk around of the exterior, and yeah, I'm going to sit in the third row and we're going to talk about that a little bit. So, my name is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and let's take a closer look at the Hyundai Ioniq 9. All right, we are just going to jump into the look at the Hyundai Ioniq 9, starting in the front of the vehicle, because what I want to talk about is the fact that Hyundai has employed a chess piece theme strategy. And essentially what that means is none of their vehicles look alike. They don't have a family resemblance, but there are some features that are going to be carried through on each vehicle that will kind of pull it all together. So specifically what I'm talking about is this pixelated theme right here. And so you'll notice on the headlights and the daytime running lights, you do have these little squares. And we see these little squares on other Hyundai vehicles throughout their lineups. And this is the thing that is going to tie the vehicles together. It is not going to be the design. As we walk around to the side, you're going to see this is drastically different from anything that Hyundai has ever produced. And they're doing that on purpose. And the idea here is they're building a purpose-built vehicle for a customer-centric idea. So that's why nothing looks alike. They look at what the customer wants and then they build a vehicle that fits that. So you will see these pixelated dots throughout the vehicle lineup, but that's about all the resemblance you're going to see, especially on the exterior. In some vehicles, you're going to notice that the pixelated theme carries through on this light bar. This specific vehicle doesn't have it, and as I mentioned before, this is going to be a Euro spec vehicle, so as we move around to the side, there are certainly some things that are not going to be seen in America, and one of those things is this right here. This is a side camera, and on the inside you'll see displays that have the camera displayed, so instead of a side mirror, this is a camera. That's not coming here. Now, one of the other things that you will notice, this is a calligraphy model, and you can tell that by the 21-inch wheels with this really nice multi-spoke design on the wheels. So coming around to the side, you have the pop-out handles for the door handles with a nice little Ioniq 9 logo on the top. You've got these fender flares that kind of come out, and the back of the vehicle just kind of swoops around. And the idea here is that this looks a little bit like a boat tail. Coming around to the back, again, you have this pixelated design that shows up on the taillights and even on the brake lights that go around the top. So we'll just go ahead and open this up to check out the cargo area, because this is supposed to be a family vehicle. So while with the third row up, you don't have oodles and oodles of space back here, you have a lot of space. So I often talk about the fact that I go and visit my mom in Indianapolis, and she has a walker. Her walker is going to fit back here. Now, it's not going to fit laying down like this, but it will fit sideways and put in here. So I could see strollers, gear bags, sport gear, athletic bags, that kind of stuff, all fitting back here really well. So for spatial relations, I'm about 5 feet tall. I weigh about 95 pounds. And yeah, I'm just going to crawl right in here. So it's a little bit of a shorter space here, but you have kind of a long space here. I think you could probably fit a set of golf clubs, maybe without the driver. But I think this is a decent amount of space, again, for a family-sized lifestyle. If you need more space, you can just, and more space, less passengers, you can push these rear seats down, and you have the second row release as well as the third row release right here. And what I really like about this, I get very annoyed when you have power folding seats that you have to like stand here and be like la 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 and hold the button for them to go down. It's press and release. So this opens up a whole new space. And if you've ever heard of the idea of car camping, yeah, you could put a mattress in here and you could do some car camping. So a lot of utilitarian space here for the cargo area. So family vehicle. Now let's take a look at the interior. All right, I've climbed behind the driver's seat, and as you can see, this is clearly not my driving position. I just wanted to be comfortable to do the video. But this is the calligraphy trim, so you do have all of the things on this vehicle. From the wireless charger to the large 12.3-inch screen, this large display. Now this is going to be standard, but you do have just, again, this not US spec. This is what it would look like if you were in Europe. But the side camera is there. But on this specific vehicle, you're going to have some finishing touches like the seating trim, the headliner, the materials on the dash that are not going to be standard because this is your top tier trim. But I will say I really like the overall look of this calligraphy trim, although I will say I probably wouldn't choose a light material for any vehicle that I would own because, yeah, there would be coffee everywhere. So looking at the actual design of this, you do have more of the pixelated theme going on the wireless charger, on the interior, the inserts of the cup holders on this little space right here. They've pulled it through on so many different areas throughout the vehicle. It's not overdone. I don't think it's overdone. I think it looks really nice. And you can even see it on this little pattern here on the seat back. Now, fun fact, if you've ever seen anything I've done before, I've probably mentioned this before, but I'm going to keep mentioning it because I know some of you are probably new. The little 4 dots in Morse code are an H. So, little tie in there using the pixels to actually create a new Hyundai logo with the H. Now, speaking of the H themes, you know, if you remember the Hyundai Santa Fe, they did have a lot of like the H graphics throughout, but it's kind of missing here, but they did pull in, you know, kind of some of the vertical themes on the vent. So I do see a little bit of a family resemblance there, but you don't have the actual H's. Now, one of the really cool things that they've done, and this comes through from the Hyundai Ioniq 5, is this right here is movable. So you can move it back, create space to put a purse, a backpack, a bag, take away your eggs. I like to put my eggs in the front seat when I go to the grocery store. But if you don't need the space, you can move it forward, and then it creates more space in the rear. The other thing they've done is they've made this accessible from both the front and the rear. So throughout this vehicle, you're going to see a lot of nice family touches, clever features that aren't available in a lot of vehicles. And I certainly appreciate that. This, though, I have to say, is probably my favorite thing. Now, what I want to do is I want to hop in the second and third row and look at how much space there is. Moving to the second row, I want to point out this is in the far back position, which gives you easier access to this compartment here. And yeah, you've got rear seat climate controls on this calligraphy trim with heated and ventilated seats as well as temperature control. I always find that to be a really nice feature because I'm the one who is always cold sitting in the second row, and the fact that I can have control of this, huge thumbs up. And again, this is what it looks like to access this area from the back. So clever storage space. Now, in terms of legroom, as we pointed out earlier, this seat was not adjusted for my driving position, but you can see I still have a lot of legroom back here. So this is probably about a foot more than a foot between my knee and the back of this seat, which is a little hard. So you're going to want that legroom. Now, this seat will move forward and backward a little bit. So you have some give and take for the third row if they need a little more leg room or not. And the car just turned off. That's fine. But a little bit more leg room or not. So you know what? I'm just going to, we'll put this in more of a farther forward position. So for when I get back there, we can check out what the legroom looks like in the far back and far forward position. But you have air vents here in the headliner. You have this really large panoramic roof that goes really almost back into the third row. And that is incredibly impressive. You have armrests if you want them. I'm not really a fan of armrests, so I usually keep them in the back position. You have cup holders in the door. You have a bottle holder also in the door. And, you know, generally this is just a really comfortable space for somebody who is, going to be sitting back here. Again, calligraphy trim, this is probably not going to be on every model, but the space is going to be on every model. You also have your USB-C ports in the back of the seat. So, yeah, that probably looks pretty familiar. You know what? We're just going to climb right back into the third row. So, one of the things that I really like about this is you do have just one button to push here to have access to the second or third row and getting in and out. So, I like the easy access. And, you know, with this, in this position, again, this is in a far back position, and I still have a generous amount of space between my leg and this, this back of the seat. And again, 5 feet tall, I weigh 95 pounds. I'm the person you're going to put back here. And one of the other things that they've done is they have created just easy access, as well as they've only put 2 seats back here. I really hate it when automakers put 3 seats in this area and then you're like kind of squished together sitting in this area. I have plenty of shoulder and hip room in these seats, and thank you. Thank you for that. I know some people want 3 seats back here. I'm not that person. Sorry. Okay, so this was pushed in the further forward position. As you can see, I have a lot of leg room and foot room in this space. So I feel like there's just a lot of ability to negotiate between your first, your second, and your third row to have plenty of legroom and passenger space for everybody that you're going to put back here. You also have cup holders, then you have the power folding seats, and you have USB-C charge ports back here. Now, I will say this window is a little bit small, but the fact that the panoramic moonroof comes back almost to the third row, I think is going to kind of cancel that out a little bit so that you're not going to feel very claustrophobic back here. You also have air vents in the headliner, and really, generally, like, yeah, I think this is a good space. Now, before I close this out, I should probably mention a few things. First off, this is going to be available in the spring of 2025. That is the target release date. This does have the NACS charging standards, the North American charging standard, which is the Tesla charging. That comes standard. And this is going to be targeted to have about 300 miles of all-electric range. You hear me talk a lot about driving back and forth to Indianapolis. That's 196 miles. This would have plenty of range to get me to my mother's house, so thumbs up on that. Now, there hasn't been any pricing that has been announced for this vehicle yet. I'd probably expect that closer to January, February, when this vehicle is getting closer to be released. So, North American charging standard, 300 miles of range, no pricing. You'll see this car in the spring. The other thing I want to point out is, yeah, calligraphy trim. These has the relaxation seats. So you're going to charge and you want to just relax for a little bit, maybe have a cup of coffee and, read a book. You can just sit back and relax. You're in carpool, sit back and relax. This vehicle has available relaxation seats in the front and in the second row. So yeah, I like that. All I need is heated and massaging seats as well, and I'll be good to go. But that is what I have for you on this first look of the Hyundai Ioniq 9. I will have more for you soon, and hopefully a first drive coming soon as well. So stay tuned for more information, and thanks for watching, and I will see you down the road, maybe taking a nap.